welcome to our studio show here at Vinca in Finland. It's round 13 of MXGP, and my guests this week on our studio show are Petar Petrov, Rui Gonçalves and Adam Wheeler from OnTrackOffroad.com. But before we go any further, just like always, let's take a quick look what happened a week ago in Sweden. Here's some highlights from MX2 Race 1.
In MX2, in qualifying, Dylan Ferrandis on the CLS Kawasaki Monster Energy machine came home in third after starting outside of the top 10. And here's a kid who might just be dealing with a little bit of pressure. He's now the lone rider at the CLS Kawasaki squad after Onotonus got injured. Needs to try hard, but it was maybe just a little bit too hard as he hit the gate in moto number 1. Left himself with a lot of work to do on the opening laps. Harry Kulas also got caught in the gate. And Roman Fevre on board here, held a tight line through the first turn, came out well placed. Dylan Ferrandis though, turn 2 got worse, he went down again. Things were going from bad to worse for the young Frenchman as Jeffrey Herlings led from the first corner. Guess what? Ferrandis involved in another collision, 2 laps in, and this time with Evan Haby of Norway. Ferrandis though picked himself up and started to charge hard through the field, and before long he was up inside the top 15. Jeffrey Herlings, though, poetry in motion as everybody else scrapped for the positions behind him. Tim Geiser finding a way up the inside of Valentin Guyot. That put him up into third place. Jordi Tixier also went through. About the midpoint of the race, started to rain here at Uddevalla. Riders, some of them backing off, some of them falling. Like Roman Fevre here on the Wilvo Nastan Husqvarna. Didn't lose too much time. Tim Geiser, the Slovenian on the Garibaldi Honda, came around the outside, capitalising on that mistake, jumped into second. Roman Fevre, though, tried to close down the gap, rectify the mistake from earlier on in the race. The number 33, Julian Lieber, was having a great ride. He was in 5th, just behind Valentin Guyot, who would eventually come home in 6th on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki, as Christophe Charlier, again charging from 9th, to eventually come home in 7th on the Yamaha factory machine. Jeffrey Herlings, though, on the Red Bull KTM, a master of sand, and in moto number 1, a master of the hard, slick conditions in Sweden. Tim Geiser having a great ride, showing good form in the second half of the season. In the closing stages of the race, really felt the pressure from Roman Fevre, but Fevre not really able to get close enough. And in the end, he had to settle for third. Jeffrey Herlings, though, was the dominant force. He was victorious in moto number 1. Geiser was second, Fevre third, with Tixier and Guyot rounding out the top 5.
Well, that was Sweden a week ago. Here we are now, still up in Scandinavia, this time in Finland at Hövinka. And my first guest is here, Petar Petrov. Welcome, Kimiya Yamaha Racing. First of all, how's the track this weekend?
Track's sandy, but really hard underneath, so it makes it difficult actually, because the bumps are hard, and I think the speed is going to be also high, so it'll be a hard weekend, sure.
What about your season? From the outside looking in, I would say it's been a pretty tough season so far for you.
Yeah, it's been really hard season for me so far. I started the season with quite high expectation, and I was feeling really good in the off season, but yeah, then we had some technical issues and also many small injuries, which yeah, it was not great, put me back a little bit, and since then, only now my injuries are starting pretty much to recover, and it's been really tough season. My ankles, my wrist, it's been really hard to recover, as we don't have a week off so much, so it's pretty much, you just get better and you hurt it again, so it's been going on like this for 6 months pretty much now.
Yeah, last year you were 13th overall in the classification. You're presently 11th in the standings. I'm guessing then, just listening to that, your high expectations, you were expecting a lot more.
Yeah, sure. I mean, last year I finished the season with 14 in Europe and 14 in Latvia, and I had many top 10 results, and this year it's been tough to get into that top 5 spots yet. So, I mean, it's not what I want, but I don't give up, and I've been working hard, so yeah, looking forward to the end of the season.
Yeah, and what about the bikes? Because this year you are alongside Charlier with factory support. Are your bikes the same as his, a little bit different?
No, I mean, the bike is not completely, but different than his. I rode his bike for 3 GPs, and sure, the bike was better. I got sixth in Bulgaria and was actually really good. And our bikes, we still have support, but not as not as much as he has, for sure.
Yeah. Seems that, again, from the outside looking in, all of you guys on Yamaha seem to be struggling a little bit. You know, yourself, Charlie AK, he was injured a little bit, Luke Stike, Max Anstey as well. I mean, it's a new bike anyway, isn't it? Are there just some small teething problems that you guys are still trying to work through, or not?
I mean, any manufacturer that pulls out a new bike after having so many years with the same bike will have some small issues at the first year.
Yeah.
So that's normal. But I mean, I don't know what's the reason, but the whole Yamaha has been actually struggling. But then you look at in America and they've been dominating. So it's, I don't understand pretty much, but maybe it's also we suck actually. So so I don't know. So hopefully, sure, the KTM's are probably better, but they have a lot of experience. I mean, they have the same bike for some time now, so yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, in the future, comes better.
All right. Well, in terms of best performances this season, Bulgaria, your home Grand Prix, has been your best result so far, and you just mentioned maybe a reason why, riding Charlier's bike.
Yeah, I mean, usually I ride really bad in Bulgaria, but this year I managed to ride good and finish sixth, so that was good. I fight from third to seventh. We were in one group, so that was really nice, and I had a really good GP. I had still had the injuries and stuff, but I still rode pretty good.
It was tough conditions there, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was started raining second race, and it was really slippery, and the track was really rutty, but I really enjoyed it.
I mean, this is the second moto where you were in that battle. You know, eventually came home sixth and finished sixth overall. You know, in that respect, were you motivated a little bit more by the fact that it's your home GP? You are Bulgarian, although you lived in Belgium now for a number of years. But you know, is it you just know the track really well, or was it just one of those weekends where everything kind of came together for you?
I think it's just one of those weekends that everything came together because, yeah, I had many GPs in Bulgaria and I've never done so good. Usually, I really don't like this track, and because it's fast, and this year with the rain, it was really deep. It was completely different track, and I think I always go with so much pressure in Bulgaria, but this year I took it a little bit more easy, I think, and just the weekend came to me, and I did most of it.
You've been ninth overall 3 times in the last 7 GPs. Are you happy with that sort of stat at the moment, that statistic, or not really? Are you expecting to be higher than ninth?
I expect it to be way higher than ninth, and I'm not happy at all, actually.
No.
But it is what it is, and we keep on working hard. So
is it a case of too many mistakes as well as the injuries, you think? Like trying maybe too hard?
Maybe trying to... I lost so many points, so trying to gain them, and I mean, maybe then I made mistakes, and crashes and all that happens.
And what about Majora? In the one race you were running 5th, got a good start, looking like you were staying out of trouble. Then obviously Tim Geiser caught you, and there was a small mistake there.
Yeah, I had finally a good start. I was running 5th, like till 4 laps to go, and then I don't know what happened. Just landed in cross-rutted, and then that was it.
But it was looking good at that point, because it was the first time really we'd seen you comfortable at the sharp end, and you know, it was a good start. You stayed out of trouble the first few laps and got a good distance on the guys behind you. Obviously, Tim started to catch you, as we can see here in the second half of the race.
Yeah, I started tightening up a little bit towards the end, but started making some mistakes, and then he caught me. He actually passed me, and I passed him back. So I was feeling comfortable. Just then that silly mistake, and that was it.
Just looked like the wheels went away. I think we got it now coming up through the first turn. Just caught the kicker there and then landed in the ruts.
Yeah, and the ruts were pretty deep, so then my legs came off, and
that was that. But you finished 5th or finished 6th in that race. That's a game changer again, isn't it, in the season, in terms of you have a little bit more confidence. You don't make a mistake there, for instance. You go into the next race thinking, okay, I've gone through the one race, we finished 5th, finished 6th, didn't make any mistakes. So that's almost like you can turn the corner again and start to improve, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I have the speed. Like Germany, I was 6th. I finished 5th in the qualifying race. I've got the speed. Just need to put everything together and have a good start, good stay out of troubles and just finish good. And I've got the speed, just need a little bit the luck. And for sure, if you finish one time top 5 or top 6, then you say, yeah, I've got it. So why can I not do it again? So it's pretty much confidence missing, and I haven't done it this year yet. So it's really, really hard to believe in myself and say, oh, I can do it.
Yeah. And what about in terms of starts? You obviously had a good start there in that first race in Majora. I'm sure there've been one or two others, but you are a big lad generally. You know, you're probably one of the heavier MX2 guys. Is that starting to be a problem now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm way more heavier than Fernandez, for example, and those guys. So that's disadvantage for sure. And I mean, on two similar or same bikes, maybe they have even better. I mean, it's hard 15, 20 kilo and pull out of the gate. It's a different story.
Sure. And what about, before we let you go, what about next year? Are you sorted? Are you staying with the same team? Are you MX2, MXGP?
I stay for sure MX2 because I just turned 20, so that's the goal, and hopefully do better, sure.
All right. Well, Petar Petrov, Kemia Yamaha Racing, thanks for coming in. Before we welcome our next guest, let's take a quick look at what happened in MXGP in Sweden, and its highlights from race 2 in the MXGP class.
Well, in the fight for the championship in MXGP, Toni Cairoli winning Moto #1 and Dessau finishing 4th in that first race. The gap had gone out from 25 points from the start of the weekend to 32. So Dessau knew at the start of race 2 it was now or never. The business end of the season and a good start would be needed for the Rockstar Energy Suzuki rider if he were to keep his World Championship title hopes alive in 2014. Good start from Frossard and Simpson. Not a bad one from Dessau either, but Kevin Strybos got squeezed by Guarnieri as they went into turn 1, and that was disaster for Dessau, who clipped his teammate's rear wheel and went cartwheeling down the straight with Tanau Leo. Milko Podozek, fortunately he was up, was battered and bruised, the Belgian, but no points. And a disastrous blow for his World Championship campaign. Cairoli was away at the front, being chased down by Van Horbig in second. As Guarnieri on the Ritchie Racing TM number 39 started well in third. Max Nagel a better start for him in fourth on the HRC Honda number 12, and then Strybos and Tommy Searle following on close behind. Max Nagel eventually found a way into third with this pass on Davide Guarnieri, and that's where the diminutive German would stay, as eventually number 22 Kevin Strybos found a way past Guarnieri. Tommy Searle forceful in his quest to find a way through. Tommy Searle then moving up into 5th place. Frossard was a man on the charge and was setting personal best after personal best. He found a way around the outside of Tommy Searle. That moved him up into 5th place. Toni Cairoli was riding roughshod on that KTM. Frossard just set the fastest lap of the race, and then the next lap was down and out through the barriers. Eventually he picked himself up, but it was an expensive mistake for the Frenchman, eventually coming home in 9th. Cairoli, though, a double race winner here in Sweden. Van Horbig was 2nd, Nagel 3rd, Strybos 4th, Tommy Searle was 5th, and a quick wheelie for Cairoli on the way down to the podium, because he was to stand on the top step here in Sweden yet again. Van Horbig 2nd, Strybos 3rd. And Cairoli pulling clear once again in the fight for the MXGP World Championship. Jeremy Van Horbig moves up to 2nd, and Dessau, not finishing that 2nd moto, drops to 3rd. And we hope he'll be okay for Finland in a week's time.
Cairoli there, just winning his 70th Grand Prix victory last weekend in Sweden. Well, my next guest from MXGP joins us now, Rui Gonçalves from Bike at Yamaha Cosworth. Rui, welcome to our studio show here in Finland. Again, our first question, how's the track?
Yeah, it's hello, and the track is pretty good. You know, like I always liked to ride in this kind of condition. You know, it's a little bit more rough. It's a little bit more lines. It's a little bit more physical. You know, I like obviously more that. And this morning I was feeling comfortable out there. You know, and my illness is starts to be better. You know, like I was really sick last weekend and still not 100%, but much better than last weekend. So I'm looking forward to it.
In general, though, I mean, we can break it down a little bit in a short while, but generally, how do you feel things have been going this year?
Yeah, it was like ups and downs, you know, like I felt like when I was really climbing up and going better and better every weekend, at one point it's just something like some little problems and some crashes and some illnesses and stuff like this, and it seemed like I couldn't really reach the goal where I was looking for, and it puts you down again. But yeah, obviously we passed the middle point of the season now, and the goal is obviously to get better and better, and that's what I'm looking for. And yeah.
So where do we start then? Because I'm guessing in the winter, I don't recall any pre-season injuries that was going to slow you down or anything, unless there were some that we didn't really know about, maybe?
Like straight after the Nations, I got surgery on my ankle, and obviously that was sort of just straight after that, so there was no problem at all. It all started that my deal was really late, you know, like I just had a deal with the Yamaha bike at Cosworth in January, you know, like start riding in January and quite late, didn't do any pre-season races, but I mean, like, this is the way it is, you know, and missing a little bit of testing, but we were trying to catch back race by race, and did our best together with team to try to make it happen, and it did work, but just like I said, at one stage here and there, I was just not able to reach the goal where I was looking for, and yeah, like I said, now we are past the middle point, and it needs to happen. You know, it's just, I hope this was the last setback like last weekend, and then keep rolling until the end of the season and have a good, strong end.
So there's no problems with your fitness? No.
No.
Motivated? There's no problems with your motivation?
No, not at all, you know.
So was it just a case then, bikes arriving late, you riding, the winter wasn't so kind to you? It was a really short off-season anyway from January. Qatar, Thailand weren't great either, were they?
No.
Was that just trying to adapt to the bike because you hadn't had the testing time on it?
Well, Qatar, I could say, like, it was really much like get the feeling the first time on race condition, and obviously the first race of the year, and then like it was difficult for me in Qatar. And Thailand, we made straight away an improvement, and it started to get better. Brazil got even better, and then it's like I said, it seems like I was climbing up this ladder, and then all of a sudden there were no steps to climb more, and it just dropped a couple more down, and then needed to come again back up. So, but I think it's just because I was not so many time on the bike in the winter, so I could find the stability where I should work for, and that's something that I'm looking for the future, definitely. You know, to have I like to have the things settled down before it all starts, and it was coming late, but I just can't thank the team enough to give me a deal and to be here this year. So looking forward for the last end of the season to give good results back, and then show what my potential is.
How are you finding it in the team? I know what it's like there. 7 years I was there.
No, it's good. You know, like I said, Steve puts a lot of effort into the team, and he does his best together with all the mechanics, my practice mechanics. They all like been working really hard to make the best out of it, and they work day and night if we need to it, and yeah, I just can't thank them enough to give them the support they do, and I'm just trying all my best to give them the results back.
Yeah, like I said, Qatar, Thailand weren't great, but Brazil, things seem to look a little bit better. You know, things started to improve.
Yeah, it's like I said, Brazil got better. I think I got a Moto 6, I think,
yeah.
or overall 6, I think, and then it's just like, yeah, felt a little bit more comfortable, and on the bike we did some changes, and but like I said, he missed a little bit the stability to be stable every weekend, to be like there and stay there all the time, you know, and yeah.
This was second race. You started 11th, worked your way to 7th, and it doesn't sound a lot, but in MXGP, that's good progress, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously. Those days, I think the competition in MXGP is really strong, and the speed of many riders is similar, and, you know, like we all riding at the edge, and even with some guys that win races, they don't have a good start, and they have it difficult to come to the front, and obviously the key is those days to have a good start, and that's what I'm looking for as well. So I hope this weekend we get good starts.
Yeah, but for the first time, you did look, you looked good on the bike. You seemed like you gelled with it, and that continued into Trentino as well, didn't it? You had a good first race there.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's like, I don't know. I wish I could have explanation to tell you, like, is it this or is it that? I think it's just, you know, when you're not putting it together all the time, you know, in the same way, and then you don't really know where was you need to work for, and that's what I'm still looking for. And now it seems that stability is there and that we can do better. But with the illness last weekend, I was really motivated for Sweden. You know, I put some good trainings in, and yeah, like I said, Trentino was also a good race. And yeah, even if Tony, like you see, he's got a little bit extra and he's gonna pass by and stuff like this, but looking okay. So, but yeah. I look for better than this, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, again, battling for 6th or 7th position. I think you, just after Tony went by you here in this next right-hander, I think you disappeared off the radar. Did you make a mistake, crash? Because you lost about 5 positions all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just sometimes it feels okay riding it, and then sometimes it's just like I don't have the stability to put a motor all the way strong, you know, like since like off season of like we did a couple of changes which helped a lot. We had more stability in practice, more stability in the racing, and that helped a lot, and that's what I'm looking for to start moto and then like go all the way until last lap, fighting for the position. And at some stage in the beginning it was difficult. I don't know if it was just because of less hours on the bike, you know, and stuff like this, but the bike feels great. You know, the Yamaha 450 is standard, is a really great bike, and it helps a lot for that.
One thing I do notice from observing on Saturday, for instance, and I noticed it today, you're not in a hurry to put any laps in practice, in the free practice. Time training, maybe 1 or 2. Qualifying, you never seem to make a good start. And, you know, from the outside, it just looks like, yeah, Saturday is just like a big sort of hassle. And then, and I'm kind of, every week I think, oh man, I just hope that you bring your A game, you know, tomorrow for the race. And I look at the championship, I think, how's he even there from what I see on Saturday? You know, what is your thought process for Saturday, for training and for the qualifying? Do you put so much importance on it or not really?
I do, you know, it even if sometimes it doesn't look like last weekend, for instance, I think I was 2 guys behind me. I like span on the gate, and then just my wheel went too deep, and I didn't got the drive to get out of the gate. Come from last to 19th, and obviously, like you say, how is it possible that on a Sunday I turn things around? But also it has to do with sometimes we try stuff on Saturday. You know, like we try to little things, but that makes it a little bit better for Sunday, and even I think, from the past and from experience, on Saturday you don't get the points, even if I just not as much motivated as Sunday, but I'm giving all the best to move up front, and then that's my goal. And even if it's on the paper it doesn't look like this, I always do my best. And but it's pretty much confused, like I can believe you that sometimes you look like, why is this guy doing like this on Saturday and then Sunday? But yeah, probably this week I'll put a good one.
Good. But I know you said you can't really put your finger on anything in terms of the stability, in terms of the consistency and the results. But if you were to think about it now, what things or what thing do you think might need to change? And, you know, is it a case of, is it just one thing? Is it lots of things? Are you just trying to ride around the problems that you may or may not have? You know? No,
not at all. You know, I'm never a guy that likes to run around the problems. If there is a problem, I'll be the first one to stand up and say there is a problem. Yeah. But if it's something that I could change right now, it was that start riding it much earlier, you know, and try to find some things out much earlier than into the season, you know. And but that's nothing you can change now, you know. Like I said, is we cannot just turn things around now and start to say like, okay, we were going right, now we go left, and it's going to be way better, you know. Like this is just, the ball is rolling, and you can't just change direction all of a sudden. And but if one thing I could change right now from the pre-season, it was just definitely riding my bike much earlier. All right, well, we're almost out of time here. Just one more question. Next year sorted? Are you obviously you've got to stay in MXGP, but will you still be with bike at Yamaha Cosworth, or are you a free agent, as it were? At the moment, I'm free for next year, to be honest. I looking forward to next year, but you know, those days is not easy. But I'm trying my best to try to sort it out. And like I said one more time, I can't thank enough the team Bike at Yamakozret for my help, and I hope soon things will come sorted, and that I can continue in 2015 in MXGP. And but at the moment, yeah, just focus so much on my riding and on my results and trying to give the best that probably sometimes I even forgot about next year. But that's how much focus I am at the moment.
All right, well, Rui, thanks for coming in. All the best this weekend.
Thanks.
And for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Rui Gonçalves, Bike at Cosworth Yamaha. Right, competition time now, folks. And just like last week, it's a case of guessing the top 3 in the MXGP and MX2 categories for your chance to win video game, the MXGP video game. Of course, we've got, what have we got? TV access. You can go onto our Facebook page and enter there, and obviously good luck with that. We've also got Ippon goodies, and you can see there on the graphic, MXGP official video game, the Ippon goodies. So make sure you enter on our Facebook page. We're also on Instagram, on Twitter, on all the social media sites as well. So make sure you tune in, and don't forget you can always watch the 26-minute magazine program as well, the highlights of each of the GPs coming in on Tuesdays on MXGP TV. And but as I say, best of luck with the competition, and you never know, you might be the winner of some Ippon goodies and the rest of it as well. Right, Adam Wheeler, OnTrackOffroad.com. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
I think for the third time this year, Qatar time. It's been a while though, and I think the first time for you in the new studio.
Yeah, inside. It's usually we're fighting wind, you know, not rain, but noise at least. So,
But
yes.
how are you enjoying Finland at the moment?
Yeah, it's been okay. You know, it's nice to be back. It's hardly changed at all, has it? So it's a very kind of unique track for the riders here. I think very narrow, very kind of obviously sandy. Not so many changes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of a special test. I think we'll see, you know, maybe some unusual names at the front of the classes this weekend.
Well, the reason we've got Adam in this weekend is because we're at that stage, round 13. There's been some great action out on track. We've had some highs and lows and that kind of thing in both classes. And we're just going to touch base with some of those key moments. We'll start with MX2. Obviously, you know, Jeffrey Herlings has been doing his thing, but behind him there's been one or two, maybe 2 or 3 guys starting to emerge. Let's talk about Arno Tonus. Obviously, Brazil, when Jeffrey was absent, he was the guy that stepped up to the plate. It could have been any number of guys, but it was him who took a race win. He took the overall GP, and, of course, he took the red plate as well.
Yeah, I mean, Brazil, I think, was a little bit of a watershed in his career, coming back after 2 seasons of injury. You know, there was that hope there. You know, it was slick conditions that day in Beto Carrero, but you know, when the world champion was absent, he was the guy that was, you know, managed to fill the hole. And there was a couple of others we thought might do it, like, you know, Jordi Tixier, Jose Butron perhaps. But it was Arno who really kind of made that step up in his career, which we've been waiting for a couple of years. Like he said, he had those 2 seasons where he was injured. So it was an important win for Arno, and he kept the red plate, I think, for another 2 or 3 rounds after that. So he was leading the championship. I mean, the smile said it all that day.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a shame that, you know, he had that practice crash in the German Grand Prix, and then the season kind of went like that for him in the second half. But, you know, it was good to see a rider that was able to, you know, at least try and get near to the level of Jeffrey Herlings. You know, he's kind of unbeaten in a race since 2012, the end of 2012, when he had some mechanical trouble in Germany. So, you know, Arno Tonus was there, but not quite all the way there.
Yeah,
so.
and you just mentioned his injury, and obviously that's blown that title chase wide open now, hasn't it, in terms of Herlings is 135 points clear, and
yeah, it's
there
a case
are no...
of, yeah, it's a case of when, if not if, perhaps. I mean, I know this sport can bite you in the ass at any time, so it's just, there's a real chance, you know, we could be talking about Herlings' title, but something can happen this weekend, hopefully not. But yeah, for Arno, it's you know, it was a breakthrough year for him. That's the important thing. Yeah. So it's just a little bit of a shame we're not going to see an MXGP next year.
Sure. In an MXGP, obviously Tony Cairoli arrived as a favourite, but at the opening round it was Gauthier Paulin who came away with the red plate as a championship leader. Again, a rider that we expected to step up to the plate and really challenge Tony. And obviously from that first round, it looked like that was going to be the case in Qatar.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic first victory. I think, you know, Tony Cairoli came in, everyone was fit coming into the first round. I mean, Tony actually had a crash in the Italian Championship, so maybe not 100% fit because he had a foot injury, I believe. Ankle, yeah. So Gauthier Paulin and, you know, Stephen Frossard just behind him, his teammates. That was a really strong race for the Factory Kawasaki team. And, there was some hope that that was the start of a real championship push. But, you know, he had some bad luck in Italy, and I think, you know, we'll see it in a minute. But also, like, the Dutch Grand Prix was another crucial moment in the story of this championship.
Yeah, well, basically, Qatar, Thailand. Qatar was great for him. Thailand wasn't. Obviously, when we returned back to Europe, Italy wasn't great at Trentino, but he wins the first race in Valkenswaard here, and convincingly as well.
Yeah,
pretty much in Tony's backyard.
Yeah, I mean, well, Cairoli had it in the bag, really, didn't he? But then broken wheel spokes kind of but paid to that. So I think Paul Ann took the lead 3 laps for the end, or 2 laps for the end. That first victory there, and then here, you know, just watching the crash on the outside, Paul Ann. What a crucial mistake, you know. It just wrecked sort of 4, 5, 6 months of work. You know, that I think that was the shoulder there coming out. Sean Simpson just coming across.
Yeah, in the background there. But yeah,
that was the thumb as well.
And that was a championship over there and then, effectively, for him, because we've not seen him since.
And also, you know, we will talk about it in a moment with Clement Dessau, but it's another example of how one mistake, one crash just can affect the whole championship story so significantly, because Tony Cairoli, week in, week out, is there near the podium, on the podium, taking victories. And as another rider, you cannot afford to make a mistake. Or even as Paul Ann said, you know, in Italy with engine trouble, he gave away 25 points there to Tony Cairoli as well. So, you know, it's as much a consistency ploy by Tony as it is fantastic work by the KTM team just to keep that bike rolling on and keep the results coming. And it's what's won 5 championships in a row.
Yeah. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, Qatar 5th overall, and obviously he arrives in Thailand, takes his first MXGP podium, and was obviously, he'd worked hard for it, was physically drained, exhausted. But since then, he's not been off the podium, has he? So in terms of milestones, that first one was a breakthrough podium for him, and he's failed to relinquish it so far, hasn't he? He's been on the podium, like we say, every week since then.
Yeah, it's 11 in a row. I think he needs 2 more to equal Tony Cairoli's record in MXGP of 13. But yeah, this was the first race where, you know, he's gelled with the Yamaha really well. Won the Italian Championship pre-season. Came to that first race and was a little bit like nervous, a little bit tense, like a lot of the riders. But here, round 2 in Thailand, he just managed to get that smooth speed going. And, you know, it's been a real fantastic kind of combination. And strangely for the factory Yamaha team, there have been some good examples of riders coming into that Rinaldi run operation and doing so well in their first year. Stephen Frossard, David Philipparts, and now Van Hoorbeek as well. So, you know, 11 podiums in a row. He's really fulfilling the expectations that the Yamaha team had for him. He's still talking about making another step up to fight Cairoli next year. So 2015 could be even better for him.
Well, like I said, he's been on an incredible run since then, hasn't he? He just needs that race win now, and that might encourage him a little bit more. Do you think it can happen this weekend?
He's a good sand rider.
Yeah.
So
is Cairoli, though.
That's true. But I mean, the next Grand Prix we've got ahead, we've got the sand, this kind of shallow sand, a little bit similar to Valkenswaard, where we saw Paul Ann have his crash a moment ago. This weekend, at the end of the month, we've got Lockett. You know, riding around on marbles. That's usually a strong track for Clement Dessau. Sadly missing this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, Tony Cairoli, not a fan of that place.
No, so that might come there. Who knows?
Yeah, and Van Hoorbeek likes it. And then obviously we go to Lommel, which is sand again. And, you know, I think these are 3 very strong tracks for Van Hoorbeek to make that push, like you say.
Yeah. And what about Clement Dessau? Again, slow start, came off through the season, or back end of the season, with a shoulder injury, shoulder surgery that he picked up at the Motocross of Nations. And Qatar, yeah, it was a bit out of sorts, wasn't he? Slowly he's been piecing his season together. But until Sweden, he was... until Sweden, since Spain, he was the strongest rider in MXGP. You know, he picked up that double race win in Spain. He'd won more races than Tony. He'd got more overalls. And if you look at the point, I think he'd scored 15 more points. So, and I put that to Clement last week. You know, if we'd started the championship in Spain, up to this point now, you'd have a 15-point lead in the championship. Of course, Clement, you know, yeah, but the championship started in Qatar, and you know, I'm not 15 points in front. I'm 25 points behind.
Yeah.
But I mean, his season, you know. It started to look like it was coming good. That double victory in Germany, or the overall GP in Germany, and then we arrived in Sweden.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you almost touched on, he had no preseason races.
Yeah.
And, you know, the team manager, you know, Sylvain Gabor said it'd be very hard for him, actually, this year to mount a championship challenge because he was coming into the first few Grand Prix unfit.
Yeah.
You know, in light of that fact, I think he did pretty well in the first couple of races. I think podium in Thailand.
Yeah.
Perhaps, if my memory serves me. So, but yeah, 4 victories. I think that's his most successful season since 2010, perhaps, or 11.
And he was really starting to take it to Tony, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, the important thing is that he took advantage when Cairoli was having some problems, some personal problems in France, some here in Germany when he won. That's when Tony was sick. You can see him on the right of the podium. So
this is last week.
Yeah, and this is the crash off the start, which, is just finished the South story for this year.
Yeah, and it was actually inadvertently his teammate, wasn't it, who got squeezed from here, from the GoPro. We see he gets squeezed. He can't see Desal at the inside. And then the next thing, Clement had to lock up, and then he just barrel rolled through the first corner, took Tonelliok out as well, and Podizek and a couple of the guys.
Yeah.
And sadly not here this weekend. And that is it. Game over for another year for Clement Desal and Rockstar Energy Suzuki.
The important thing is he's not hurt.
Yeah.
There's nothing broken there, but I think he's just had a really bad week. I sent a message to him during the week, and he said, it was still had a lot of pain in his back, in his torso. So, but like you say, Paul, he missed a lot of points there in that second moto. Didn't have a great first moto, 4th place, I think, or 5th. So, and then missing this weekend, it's over. But, that's the same thing that's happened over the last 2 or 3 years. He has been the guy consistently closer to Tony Cairoli for the championship, but it's always been one incident that's to set him back.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Tony only in Sweden, I think 2012, where Cairoli had that strange double DNF.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Cairoli's just been perfect, and no one else has pushed up to that level.
And finally, we'll talk about Antonio Cairoli. Obviously, Matterley Basin was a standout moment for you. Why?
I think because, he lost his father just maybe less than a week beforehand. There was even some talk, perhaps, that he might not race that Grand Prix. And I think it would be very understandable because it was a bereavement that was unexpected. It was sudden. And I think, he can talk with cliches. Did he ride with a higher power or something that day? But, I mean, he was faultless, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think the saving grace for him there in that respect was... It was after Spain, wasn't it? We had a free weekend. Had Matterley fallen on that weekend, would have been 2 or 3 days after his father passed away, he probably wouldn't have been at the race.
I think it was that fresh that, I think he just got on with the job. I mean, that was the professionalism kicking in, because then the following week in France, we saw 2 uncharacteristic mistakes. Here we go in Saint-Jean d'Angely.
This is the second one.
Yeah, and this is where you have to give Desal some credit, because he was right behind Cairoli and just took advantage of that slip there. Tony unnerved by a back marker unusually. And Desal, just number 25, going through the picture, takes the victory. I mean, this was strange. This was the second of 2 mistakes from Cairoli that basically lost him the Grand Prix. And, he admitted, as much afterwards, that he was thinking there were other things on his mind. And, it was a strange situation for him in championship racing. But since then, he's just really picked it up.
I mean, we picked up one of his mistakes there, but he is normally so consistent and capitalising everybody else's mistakes, isn't he? And he's doing that again now.
Yeah, it's and also I think in Sweden was a big double victory for him as well. With Desal going down, it was an ideal weekend in terms of the championship. Now 5 rounds to go. He's got almost a Grand Prix advantage over Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, and Van Hoorbeek, as fast as he's been, as impressive as he's been, hasn't been close to really knocking Tony out of the way for a Grand Prix win. And I can't see him. Lockett might be an exception in the Czech Republic in 3 weeks, but otherwise, it's going to be Tony a matter of clicking into championship mode like he did last year when Clement took 2 or 3 victories. Yeah. Cairoli's just playing a little bit of a calm game, not taking any risks, safeguarding what he had, and that was title sort of, number 7 in the bag.
So Tony Cairoli has a 45-point advantage now over Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. It's fair to say it's pretty much a 2-horse race, isn't it? But
yeah.
Jeremy needs to start applying that pressure now, doesn't he? Because if it's 2 wins to Tony today or tomorrow, and Jeremy has seconds, that is, 1 point clear of 2 motos clear in the championship, more than 50 points. And
the important thing is as well, as much as we look at points, I think we were doing the commentary in Sweden as well, and we could sense, when we were talking about that crash for Clement Desal, it was like, that's something big for the championship. Yeah. It was like a bit of a sort of deflating balloon. It was, we've lost a real story now. So, as much as Tony has that 45 points, he is just, another potential Sweden of 2012 could be around the corner. A couple of DNFs, a bike problem, and Van Hoorbeek suddenly could be in a pressure position of having to do something or being able to do something. And then we'll see a nice test of his character.
All right. Well, Adam Wheeler on trackoffroad.com. Thanks for coming in.
No problem,
and good to touch on some of the, I guess, the more key moments of the season in MX2 and MXGP. Well, that is it. That's all we've got time for. We'll take a break next week, but in 2 weeks we'll be in the Czech Republic at Lockett. So I'll be there, Adam will be there as well, and everybody else. But thanks to our other guests, Petar Petrov and Rui Gonçalves. We wish them all the best for tomorrow and the rest of the season. So that's it for this week. We'll see you in Lockett in 2 weeks' time. We'll see you then. Bye for now.